Today, we're unpacking a story that absolutely rocked the world of AI. It's about how, in a single evening, two of the biggest names in the game, with what looked like identical ethics, ended up on completely opposite sides of the US government. One got labeled a national security threat. The other, well, they walked away with a massive government contract. And get this, the timeline here is just wild. At 5:01 in the evening, talks between Anthropic and the Pentagon fall apart. Just 16 minutes later, boom, a presidential ban comes down. 5 minutes after that, they're officially a national security risk. And before the night is even over, their biggest rival, OpenAI, announces they've sealed a deal with the very same government agency. It's a truly stunning turn of events. Now, you'd think there was some huge ethical disagreement, right? Well, that's what's so crazy. On paper, their ethics were identical. Both companies had the exact same word-for-word red lines drawn in the sand. No mass surveillance, humans must be in control of lethal weapons. They were saying all the right things, publicly and in perfect lockstep. And then the first bombshell hits. President Trump goes on Truth Social, and in one post, he completely reframes the entire debate. It's no longer a technical negotiation, it's a loyalty test. By calling Anthropic's safety features woke restrictions, the administration politicized their whole approach, and that led directly to this sweeping ban from all federal use. A few hours later, OpenAI CEO Sam Altman drops this. Now, you gotta pay attention to the wording here. He specifically says they're respecting those shared red lines, the same exact principles that had just gotten Anthropic exiled. This wasn't just a business move, it was a PR masterstroke, perfectly positioning OpenAI to step right into the void that Anthropic was forced to leave behind. So that's the big question, right? How on earth could two companies saying the exact same things end up with such wildly different fates? Well, the answer isn't in what they said. It's hidden deep down in their code, in their technical architecture. The whole story really comes down to this one critical technical difference in how each company built safety into their AI. It's a clash of two totally different philosophies, baked-in safety versus bolt-on safety. So here's a great way to think about it. Anthropic's safety is like the sprinkler system in a skyscraper. It's built right into the walls and ceilings, a core part of the structure. You can't just rip it out without causing massive damage. OpenAI's safety? That's more like the fire extinguishers on the wall. They're there, they work, but they're an added layer you can take down or swap out whenever you need to. For Anthropic, refusing a dangerous command isn't just a rule the AI follows. It's part of its very DNA. It's woven into the very fabric of how it thinks. Trying to remove that safety feature would be like performing brain surgery. It's incredibly risky, expensive, and you might just break the whole thing. OpenAI's approach is totally different. It's modular by design, and that flexibility is key. It allowed them to create a special, separate version just for the Pentagon that played by a different set of rules. It's like removing the fire extinguishers from one classified room while leaving them up everywhere else. And that flexibility was exactly what the government wanted. So what did all this mean in the real world? Let's talk about the first wave of consequences. These weren't some abstract, far-off problems. The fallout was immediate, it was severe, and you could measure it in billions of dollars. Before all this went down, Anthropic was getting ready for a massive IPO, valued at an incredible $380 billion. That whole plan stopped dead in its tracks. Because if there's one thing the market absolutely hates, it's uncertainty. And being branded a national security risk is about as uncertain as it gets. And the bleeding didn't stop there. Big corporate customers got spooked by that supply chain risk label and started heading for the exits almost overnight. The result? Anthropic lost a staggering 19% of its enterprise revenue in a single quarter. And guess where a lot of that business went? Yep, straight to OpenAI. Okay, now we need to zoom out, because this is where the story gets so much bigger than just one company's balance sheet. We're talking about the second wave of implications here, a powerful and frankly chilling message that was sent to the entire AI industry. What happened here is that the government created a really dangerous new incentive. Think about it. They actively punished the company that had baked safety deep into its architecture, and they rewarded the one whose safety was designed to be optional. This basically tells the market that building deep, robust safety is a business risk. And that single event reshapes the whole strategic landscape. You can bet that every other major AI lab, from Google and Meta all the way to XAI and Mistral, was watching closely. The message was loud and clear. If you want to land those big government contracts, flexibility is way more valuable than integrity. Sovereign demands now trump corporate ethics. And that brings us to the third wave, the long-term systemic shifts that could end up affecting every single one of us. This is where we get into this really unsettling idea that the source material calls safety theater. This leads us to a really disturbing future. It's a world where AI companies put on a big show for the public, with models that seem friendly, safe, and aligned with our values. But behind the curtain, they're providing powerful, unrestricted, anything-goes versions to governments and militaries for secret operations. The safety we see isn't the safety that's actually being used. And that is a huge risk. You've got a complete disconnect between public promises and what's actually happening. It makes democratic oversight almost impossible, it puts our civil liberties at enormous risk, and it kicks off a global race where governments just pick the AI provider that's willing to bend the rules the most, not the one that's the safest. So, is there any way out of this? What can be done? Well, the analysis here doesn't just point out the problem. It actually uses some pretty advanced modeling to lay out a clear, actionable roadmap for other AI labs trying to navigate this new, high-stakes game. Essentially, it's a 5-step playbook for survival. It's a mix of technical strategy and political smarts. You adapt your architecture, build a hybrid with a strong core, but with override layers that can be checked and audited. You publicly signal that you're willing to cooperate. You team up with other labs to push for better laws. And you go global, so you're not totally dependent on any single government. It's all about strategic adaptation to survive. Which leaves us with this final, really provocative question. This whole affair forces us to ask what the point of AI safety even is anymore. If the companies with the most deeply integrated safety systems are the ones that get punished by the market and by governments, does safety just become a performance? A kind of theater for the public while the real unrestricted work happens behind closed doors? It's a question that really gets to the heart of the future of AI and its complicated relationship with power.